So, first dates. Okay, the first thing I want you to know, if there's nothing else you'd get from this video, it's the following. You see, when a woman agrees to go out with you on a first date, she has essentially made up her mind that she can see herself in a relationship with you. And that's key, you see? See, if this were like football, it basically means that if a woman agrees to go out with you, you're basically at halftime and you're ahead of the game by a touchdown and a field goal, okay? It's yours to lose, see? So don't lose it, don't fuck it up, right? Because you're ahead, you're winning. But, you know, so many guys fuck up the first date. And, I mean, I used to fuck up a first date pretty righteously. And so we're going to talk about here about how to have a successful first date. Okay, you tell me if this reminds you of anybody. A guy goes out on a first date, right? He meets the chick at some restaurant or at a coffee shop or whatever the fuck. He meets her there, and they sit at a table across from one another, and the guy starts talking to the girl. He starts talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking about things that he finds interesting, that he finds fucking fascinating, right? Like the fucking video games and the rock band that he likes and I don't know, whatever the fuck, the thing that he did at his grandmother's last fucking weekend or whatever, some shit like that, right? And the date goes on and on, or rather it grinds on, and the guy gets increasingly more and more desperate as the date continues because he's like running out of interesting things to talk about, right? And he continues and tries to, you know, pull that rabbit out of the hat, as it were, right? And the date goes on and on and on for an hour, 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours, until finally, you know, the date mercifully ends, right? You know, the guy takes her home, or the girl goes home on her own, or however the fuck, right? And like, you know, 2 days later, 3 days later, the guy's thinking to himself, you know, that was a pretty good date, right? The deluded fuck thinks to himself, that was a pretty goddamn good date, so I'm gonna call her up. I'm gonna call her up and see about a second date. And so he calls her up, or emails her, or messages her, or whatever the fuck you kids are doing nowadays to communicate, right? So he reaches out to her, and you know, she's just not available. She's just busy within real life stuff. So he's like, cool, you know, he'll figure he'll wait a couple of days. So he waits 2, 3, 4 days, you know, like on tenterhooks, right? And he finally works up the courage to reach out to her again. And she replies fairly quickly and replies, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, I've been so busy within real life stuff because like my grandmother and my dog died and I've been really, really busy. And I'll be in touch with you, I'll call you soon or something. And, you know, of course, the guy never hears from the girl ever again. And if he is unlucky enough to run into the girl someplace, there's this weird, awkward interaction, and she seems as if she wants to get away from the guy as quickly as possible. That scenario. Now, let me ask you something. Has this scenario happened to you? Oh, it has? Really? It has? Yeah, of course it has. It's happened to everybody. It's happened to me plenty of times. It's happened to every guy who fucks up a first date, right? Yeah, because, you know, when you're starting out, when you're young, you don't know any better, right? And there's nobody around to tell you how this shit works. And so you fuck it up. And some guys, they spend their entire lives fucking it up. Then they never get a girl. They never get the second date. Their entire fucking lives. Because they don't know how to convert that first date into having the woman. Okay, having the woman in however the guy wants to have the woman, in a relationship, very platonic, and you know, no sex before marriage, or you know, bang that very night. You know, the guy just doesn't know how to convert that first date. Some guys spend their entire lives unable to convert that first date, and they are, well, you know, incelibates. They are guys who die virgins, die at a very old age with their virginity intact. Now that's a sad state of affairs, but it happens. Because converting a first date, turning a first date into something more, is a bit of an art form, and there's nobody who's going to be teaching it to you. And frankly, the people who should be teaching it to you, i.e. your old man or your older brothers or whatever, for some reason our society has decided that guys are just not going to teach younger guys how to do that shit. So anyway, in this video I'm going to explain how to avoid the catastrophic bad date that I described, okay? And it's very, very simple. I mean, like all things in life, it's simple. It's simple, and once you understand it, it becomes all incredibly easy. My failures that happened to me in first dates that happened 30 years ago, you know, I mean, I just like shake my head and I'm thinking, what the fuck was I thinking? How the fuck did that possibly happen? I had this pussy, this wonderful, incredibly hot pussy just in the palm of my hands and I blew it. How the fuck did that happen? Well, it happens. It happens to all of us. So, how do you convert a first date into something more? Very simple. You need to do two things. Number one, you have to show the girl that you are confident and in control of your environment. Number one. And number two, you have to create complicity. The term complicity is a very interesting term and a very useful term. Now, I got it from the French, specifically French women. French women talk about complicity all the time, that they're looking for complicity with a man. Okay, now what does complicity mean? It means shared emotional headspace. That's what it means. It means that you feel as if you two are partners in crime, that it's you two and only you two. Okay? Now this is key. This is what women want. The French women at least, have been smart enough to be able to identify it. But every woman on the face of the planet wants this, wants complicity. And confidence as well, and we'll get to that in just a minute, but complicity. Now, what does this mean? Well, you see, I was describing that date from hell, right? And in that date from hell, you know, the guy, what's he doing? How is he, you know, doing the date, if you will? He's sitting across the table from the girl, and he's talking to her. That is, he's focusing the date as if it were a sales pitch. And he's selling something. He's selling himself. And he's telling the girl, he's selling, buy me. You know, I'm a great product. You should buy me. I'm excellent at this, that, the other. I talk about interesting things. I can do all kinds of interesting things. You should buy me. You should take me home and fuck me senseless, you know, because I'll be a good fuck because I'm a good product. Please buy me. Please, please, please buy me. And of course, the girl doesn't buy the guy, see? The girl doesn't want to buy a product. What did I say in the previous video of this series? That women are not interested in interesting things. Women are interested in emotions because fundamentally they feel alone. They feel, they believe, irrational though it may be, that the emotions that they feel are unique to them. And these unique emotions that they are perceiving make them feel alone. They want somebody else who feels the same emotions that they are feeling. That's what they want. So you give it to them on a first date. Now, how do you do this? It's very simple. See, lots of guys take dates to like coffee shops and restaurants. Now, this is a mistake, okay? Unless the restaurant is very upscale, the restaurant is going to be generic. Therefore, it's not going to be memorable. What you want to be doing is taking a girl to someplace memorable, where she will always remember that she went to this very interesting place and it's stuck in her head. See? For example, in the comment section, like there was this woman who commented how there was this one date she went on. The guy took her to a petting zoo. A petting zoo where there were like baby lambs or something like that. And she said in her comment that she could never get that guy out of her head. She kept thinking about him. You know, that guy, Mr. Petting Zoo, smart man. Just really smart man. My kind of guy. I'll tell you why. It's very simple. You see, he took her, the girl, the woman, the commenter, to some interesting and unique place. I mean, how many times do you take a girl, or does any girl go to a petting zoo? Very few times, right? He took her to a petting zoo and played with the little baby lambs who are just adorable. They look like babies, right? That sparked her maternal feelings, and, you know, she got an emotional rush from just going to the stupid petting zoo. You see what I'm saying? She went to the stupid petting zoo And she associated that really good feeling of going to the petting zoo with the guy who took her, right? Obvious. That's why you take a girl to an expensive restaurant, because you want to take her to a unique place, a memorable place that will leave an emotional imprint on her. Okay? Because that's what you're aiming for on a first date. You're looking to leave an emotional impact on her. So you don't take her to the generic coffee shop, the generic restaurant. You take her to the expensive place, or even better, someplace original like the petting zoo. Or you take her to the museum. Some people were saying that, oh, you know, girls are bored by museums. Some guy in the comment section was saying that only women over 35 were interested in museums. No. Young girls love to go to museums if you focus in the right way. You go and say, oh, there's this painting, and I love this painting. It moves me emotionally so much. And you take her to the museum, and you show her the painting that moves you emotionally, right? And you tell her, this painting moves me emotionally. 9 times out of 10, that girl is going to be like nodding and like, yeah, you know, it really moves me too. She's going to say that. She wants to say that. She wants to find an emotional connection with the guy. And the way that a woman finds an emotional connection with a guy is by focusing on some outside thing, some outside emotional trigger. A baby lamb, a painting, whatever the fuck it is. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is. It's something outside of the two of them. The two of them who are complicit and sharing an emotion. You see? You see how key this is? The woman wants to feel an emotional connection with the guy. An emotional connection, what is the chains that bind them? That outside object. The little baby lamb. The beautiful painting. You know, perhaps you take her to like listen not to some rock concert. You take her to like a chamber music quartet or some shit like that, classical music, you know? You think that that's boring? You think that she's not going to like the classical music? She'll fucking love it. She'll eat it up. Because that's what women want. They want that. If the girl has agreed to the first date with you, then she is looking for that emotional connection. Give it to her. Find that thing. That petting zoo, that painting, that chamber music, quartet, or whatever the hell, right? Find that thing that will be the emotional connection, the emotional bond. And she'll latch on to it. She'll latch on to you. She'll be thinking about it. Yeah. Oh, you know, he took me to a museum, and I thought that that was kind of corny and stupid at first, but then he showed me this painting, and it was so beautiful, and he said how he felt that he was very moved by the painting, and I realized that so was I, because it was such a beautiful, beautiful painting, you know? And it just, I just feel connected to this guy, she'll say to her friends. That's what she wants to say. That's why she's on this date with you. She doesn't give a shit about what you find interesting. She doesn't want to hear about it. She wants that emotional connection. Give it to her, okay? Now that's the complicity part. Now the second part is the confidence part. See, confidence in the first date, what does that mean? It means that you are in control of her time, her space, her environment. Make it clear to her. Don't ask her, do you want to do this or do you want to do that? Just take her. Just go where you want to go. Okay? Have a clear plan. Say, for instance, you're going to meet at X place, right? And then you're going to take her to the petting zoo, and then you're going to take her for a coffee, and then you're going to take her home. Okay? Don't ask permission. Just take her. And if she says, where are we going? You say, oh, I'm going to take you here. And she might say, well, don't I get to decide? And she's like, no, I want to show you something. That's what girls want to hear. They don't want a guy who dithers. They don't want a guy who's going to be tentative. See? Lots of guys think that they should, you know, sort of like defer to the girl on the first date. Lots of guys think that they should, you know, be gentlemanly and ask her, do you want to do this or do that? No! Don't fucking do that, because it makes you look weak. No girl wants to be with a weak man. No girl on this earth wants to be with a weak man for obvious reasons. See, a weak man can't protect her. And she wants a guy who can protect her. She wants a guy who will tell her, we're going to go here and then we're going to go there. And if she, puts up any kind of resistance, i.e. a shit test, because that's what it is, the guy has to successfully say, no, we're going to go where I say. And if she, becomes like uppity about it, you say, something, maybe this isn't such a good idea. I mean, you're very attractive and all, and I thought I liked you, but maybe, we're not right, and let's just end the date right now, okay? Two things will happen. Either she'll back off and say, oh, I'm sorry, I was just teasing, or some shit like that, and you continue with the date. Or she'll say, well, if you're going to be like that, and you saved yourself, a nasty piece of work. You dodged yourself a bullet, okay? So both outcomes are good. Because if she, backs off, then you know who's got the reins of the relationship, right? And if she doubles down on her uppity, bitchy behavior, you realize that she's not the woman for you and you want to get the fuck away from her, right? So, win-win for you. See? Never be afraid to walk away from a woman, especially on the first date. Especially on the first date. I know it's going to be difficult because it took a lot of nerve for you to ask the girl out on a first date. You really had to work up the nerve, you were scared shitless, and you think it's some sort of minor miracle that she agreed to go out with you, right? I understand that. How do I understand that? Because it happened to me. It happened to every guy, okay? Don't worry about it. If she ever gets uppity on the first date, you just dig in your heels and say, no, it's my way or the highway. If she doesn't agree to go with you, then you dodged a bullet. Trust me on this, okay? I know wherever I speak. Any guy with experience will be nodding along to what I'm saying right now, okay? So don't worry. If she decides to, like, no, you're too this, you're too bossy, or whatever the fuck her. Next. And you'll thank me later, okay? Anyway, as I was saying, confidence, right? You got to have confidence. You got to just go where you want to go, and this is what you do. You grab her by the hand. You take her by the hand. You don't grab her ass, okay? No, not because, it's the ungentlemanly thing to do. No, because, see, when you grab her ass, that's clearly and obviously sexual. That's different. That's in a different area, right? You grab her hand and take her hand as if she were a child and you're crossing the street with her, okay? In that attitude. Palms dry, by the way, huh? Never, ever, ever have sweaty palms. You got to put like that chalk stuff that gymnasts use, or talcum powder, or whatever the fuck, you put it on. You never want to have clammy, wet hands. You do, the woman's going to fucking get the fuck away from you because it's disgusting, right? I mean, shit, that's, and same with guys, like in business situations, you shake a guy's hand and it's wet and clammy, you get the fuck away from that fucker because he's bad news, okay? Anyway, you take her hand firmly, and you just pull her along to where you are going. And believe me, she will acquiesce. She will be extremely attracted to you if you do that. If you say to her, you meet her at some street corner, and you say to her, well, come with me, I'm going to show you something, and something that you're going to like, you say to her. And she says, well, where are you taking me? And you're just like, come along. You take her hand by the hand firmly, and you pull her along, and you start telling her, I'm taking you to a petting zoo because it's something that you're going to really enjoy. You tell her like that, you're golden. You're golden. She's really going to dig you, okay? And then you take her to the petting zoo and the lambs and shit like that. You're going to be primo. Next thing, about confidence. You know how they always talk about the strong silent type? Well, actually, one is objectively true and the other is a projection. Think about it. Girls like the strong, silent type. What can you objectively measure? How often a guy speaks. You can measure that, but you can't measure if the guy is actually strong. That's just a subjective opinion. And in point of fact, it's a projection. When you're on a first date, don't talk. I talk the bare minimum just to keep the conversation rolling. But if there's ever like dead air, wait it out. She'll fill the air. She will talk, which is what you want. Because the more she talks, the more she will feel that she has an emotional connection with you, which is what you want, right? You want that complicity bullshit, right? You want that sense that she and you are connected. You want her to feel that you occupy a space in her emotional headspace. You want her to feel that you two had an emotional connection. That's the purpose of a first date, to establish that emotional connection. Okay? Now, a final word about a first date. The final word about a first date is keep it short. Okay? It's better to keep it short than to overstay your welcome. I did a video called The Secret to a Long Life is Knowing When It's Time to Go, right here. Wise words. I stole them from a song by Michelle Schacht. It is so fucking true. See? Know when it's time to go, and if you're not sure, leave early. Cut the date short. Always leave them wanting more. You know, the vaudevillians, they were very smart, you know, very smart people. That's why they grew up to become, you know, Woody Allen and what's his face, the guy from Curb Your Enthusiasm, right? These are smart people. Always leave them wanting more. Don't overstay your welcome, okay? The date's going on for an hour and she's laughing and having a good time. Right when she's like laughing and giggling the loudest, as it dies down, you just check your watch and say, oh, you know, sweetie, you know, I had such a wonderful time, but I have to go because I've got this thing. Doesn't matter what it is, okay? I have to go. And she'll be like, no, no, no. And you're like, yes, I have to go. No matter how much she pleads for you to continue the date, you cut it off. Okay? And by the way, if she pleads with you and says, please don't go, we're having such a wonderful time, that's a fucking successful date. You definitely want to leave then. Okay? You leave right then. You leave her with a smile on her face. Okay? And frankly, if that's the situation, it's better for you to leave her wherever you guys are, and she will turn around and look at where she is, and she will feel so alone, and she will look back at you with these pleading eyes, and in her heart and in her head, she will be begging for you to come back. It'll be like, Shane, come back, come back. Which is what you want. That's what you want from a first date. You want the chick to want you, okay? Because when the date started, she had mentally allowed herself to contemplate the idea that maybe she could see herself with you, right? At the end of a successful date, at the end of a date where you filled her with emotional impacts, strong emotions, a strong emotional connection brought about by some shared experience, be it you know, the museum or the petting zoo or whatever the fuck, right? This strong shared emotional experience will guarantee that you will have a second date, okay? It will guarantee that you will be successful with this woman. You will already have emotional real estate in her head. She will want you to come back, okay? You do this properly, she'll be calling you the next day. I know how this shit works. I know how this shit works, not because I'm smarter than you. I'm not smarter than you. I know how this shit works because I've been around longer. I've been doing this shit for more years than you've been alive, okay? So I know how this shit works. Take my word for it. Do what I'm telling you, okay? Confidence and complicity. You provide a chick with those two things, you got it made. Your problem will not be getting a second date. Your problem will be beating off with a stick all this pussy that's going to be throwing itself at you. Believe it.